All right, well, welcome back. That was Let It Be by the Beatles. This is a how-to video. I just did a verse and a chorus just to demonstrate on the ukulele. And so anyhow, we're going to talk about the chord changes. I have a chart and a chord diagram. There's a link in the description for that. And also, if you want to support the work I'm doing, there's also a link in the description for that as well. Okay, here we go. So we're going to start with this chart. I'm going to explain a little bit of this. So this is, on the side here, I have them all labeled. Like I is for intro, V is for verse, C is for chorus, and so on. And all the way down here toward the end. And I didn't write out every section because all these sections are the same. So I just said, repeat the chorus here and then do a verse, and there's a repeat of the verse, chorus, and repeat that, and then the end. Okay, so each letter is one measure. So this is one measure of C, one measure of G, one measure of A minor, and then this is one measure as well, but it's got two chords in it. So when you see just an underline, two of them next to each other in your underline, that means that each one gets 2 beats if it's not specified at the top. So if you look at this measure right here, see this is underlined, but there's 3 chord changes in it. So above F, that gets 2 beats, and then the C over E gets 1, and then the D minor 7th gets 1 beat, okay? And then this is one measure here. And so it's the same convention throughout the entire chart. Okay, so now to go along with this, I have the chord diagrams. And this is a C major scale over here. You can just kind of disregard that right now. You can look at it. I mean, it is a C major scale if you want to learn a little bit about that. We're not going to go into depth about scales or chords. We're going to try and cover a little more ground than usual, but okay, so these are the chord changes. So I'm going to play the intro. This is the intro. These are the intro chords right here, okay? So let me just play that for you, and you can just, here we go, 3, 4. Okay, so that's the whole intro. Now, if you look at the chord diagram here, C is the first chord. Now, if you look at this, there's I have 2 different forms written in here. Let me just I'm going to get rid of this. Okay, well, I'll put that back in just a second. So this is C. You can play this form right here if you want, or you can keep this note and play this form. These are both a C chord, and you're just using the same note. See, the one, just to let you know, all of the chords, just for naming purposes, they're based on a major scale. So like the way that we arrive at these numbers, 1, like 1 through 5, they're based on a C major scale. 1 is C, being the root. So 1 is C, and then you would count. You know how you sing the do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti? That instead of doing that, we're using numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. So in order to create a triad, a basic chord, you start at the first note and you jump every other note for 3 notes. So 1, 3, 5. And then in the case of like a major 7th chord or a minor 7th, then you're going to add another note to it, which would be a 4th note. And we'll get to that here in a second. Okay, so for our purposes, we're going to play C, this one here, or this one. Now, I like this one. I like this one better than this because I can do this. You see I'm doing a little hammer on there to get a little groove going. I'm doing it on the G too. Okay, so you just bar these 2 notes, and then that, and right there, okay? So you go... Okay, so there's C. Now we're going to go to G. Okay, and this is 3, 1, 5, 1. So there's a 1 on the bottom. And this chord also is based on a G major scale. And that's why these numbers are the way they are. So 3, 1, 5, 1. See, there's just 1s, 3s, and 5s in there. Okay, so, okay, here we go. So C. I'm doing a little hammer on there too on the G. Okay, then we're going to do A minor. So here's A, and here's a flat 3. Now the difference between a major chord and a minor chord, there's only one difference. It's the 3. You from a major chord, you take the 3 and you move it down a half a step. So this chord here, like if you take this G chord here and then move it up a whole step to play A, well that note there is the 3rd. So you want to move that down a half a step, and there you have A minor. Okay, so okay, now the next 2 chords. Now you could, if you want to just play F, this F right here, so it's be open, 1st fret, open, 2nd fret. Okay, you could play that chord, or you could play this F. Okay, so it could be, so this is 5, 3, 1, 5. So this note right here, that's F. And F is also right here. That's why this chord looks like that. It's the same chord. These are both F. And you could bar this here and play this. But I'm not really using that in this tune. So either one of these will work, okay? However, what's going on the record is they're playing, it's an F major 7. So this 1 right here, in order to, so the triad, you're going to add another note to the triad, so it would be 1, 3, 5, and 7. So we have 4 notes. Now in this case, we're not going to have a 1 in here when we do this, because we have to get rid of this 1 and move it down a half step to get to 7. And then here's 5, and here's 3, and there's another 5. Now if we wanted a 1 in there, we could add this here. It's not a very good chord for this situation. So what I'm doing is I'm only playing these 3 lower notes for the F major 7. And then what I'm doing is I'm taking this note here, which is 7, and move it down to 6. So then we have an F6. So we're going to play that note, and here's the 6, and here's 5. So it sounds like this in context. Okay, you can see my fingers. Oops. And then back to C, or this. I like this one. Back to to G again, and then the walk down that's F. And I'm going to play this because the top note I want to be moving like this. Okay, so that's why I'm going to voice this chord like this. And then D minor. So this is F. And just play those 3 notes. And you can play them like this if you want. And then C. And really just play the 3 lower strings. And then D minor. So 1st fret, 2nd fret, 2nd fret. And then I'm putting my finger on here to play the C, the easier one. But I'm not really hitting that note. I mean, you can. It's fine if you hit it. Okay. Okay. Let's look at the chart here real quick. Okay. So, all right. You notice that this is D minor. Now the other thing is that you could, if you wanted to, you could play F. So this would be an F chord right there. That works in that situation there too. But let's just stick with this, okay? All right. Okay, now we're going to get to the verse. Now I'm just going to play through the verse. When I find myself in times of troubles, Mother Mary comes to me, speaking words of wisdom. Okay, so it repeats that whole thing again. So let's just go one at a time. So you can either play this C, okay, and that works for the intro, it works. I mean, you can use this C chord anywhere, you know, wherever there's a C, you can use that. But I like this one because of, to get that rhythm. And we'll talk about the rhythm in a little bit here too. So, okay, so we're playing C. When I find myself in times, there's G, times of troubles. And then A minor, I already showed you A minor. Mother Mary comes to me. Okay, that's our movement, F major 7 to F6. Or you could just play an F chord. Now I'm just going to play it just with an F. When I find myself in times of troubles, Mother Mary comes to me, speaking words. See how that works? I mean, it works perfectly. So you could just play an F there. Okay, let's just recap the verse. When I find myself in times of troubles, Mother Mary comes to me. There's this F. Speaking words of wisdom, let it be. So now let's move on to so it does that twice. It does that section twice. And then it's going to do, let's take a look at the chorus. Now there's a couple different situations here, a couple different chord changes. So we have A minor, this is A minor right here. And then this next chord, it's a C over G. In other words, what's going on, it's the chord that we want to play is a C chord. So if you look at this, this would be C, this note is C. And based on the C major scale, this would be our 1, 3, and 5. That's our triad there. However, on the record, they're playing a G in the bass. So we're going to move this. And by the way, I have a low G ukulele that I'm playing. It's a tenor. However, a high G would work perfectly with this. So it doesn't matter if you have a high G, and even though I'm calling this a bass note, I mean, a high G is not going to sound exactly the same, but it'll still work. I mean, the tune will be there. So this is 1, 3, 5. This is C with a G bass, and then we go to F and C, and these all should look familiar to you by now. The rest of these chords. Let's see here. Yeah. So. Okay, I'm just going to play through the chorus now. Let it be, let it be, okay, so first chord of the chorus, A minor, and then we go to that C over G. So I'm just, and then F. I like this F right here because this works good. And then back to C. You can play this one here or this. And then it goes, there will be an answer. That G. And then the walk down. And I showed you this walk down earlier, so just do that same walk down I showed you earlier. Okay, now, before the guitar solo, there's this long walk down, and it starts out the same way of the one that you already know, but it goes a little farther. So it starts out. Now this is where it gets a little tricky. So we're going to play. Okay, so this walk down, the top note, I want it to sound like this. Okay. But in order to get all these chord changes in there, we have to shift things around. So this is what I'm going to do. Okay, now I'm going to go up an octave instead of continuing down here. I want to go up here. Again. Okay, so this is an ukulele, so I mean, you only have 4 strings, so you have to adjust to the instrument a little bit, okay? So these are the chords. And then we're going to play G right here. And I'm going to leave this G open. I'm going to play this like this. Use the fingering. And then A minor. We already know A minor. And then we're going to play G again, only we're going to voice it different like this. Okay? So I'm going to these are the notes. These are the notes. So I want these two. So I'm going to bar here, and the first finger on that fret, the third fret, and then this finger on the fourth fret. Now we're going to move this whole thing down a whole step. And when we do that, we end up with 2 open strings. And then back to C. So, okay, I'm going to play this whole chord progression real slow. Let me do it again. Okay, so on the record, what's really going on is, okay, that all works, but then the G, see, I'm cheating a little bit, leaving the G in the bass, but really the bass note is right here. It's the third of G. This would be G over B, because B is the third of B. Don't get bogged down with the numbers I'm throwing at you, so, because it would sound like this, and it goes, okay, and then, but I like this, just leave it open, and then A minor, and then G again, F, C, so. Okay, so that's the whole tune, and I hope you got something out of this. But anyhow, there's one more thing I want to talk about. If you look at all of these, these diagrams, and I've got all these numbers, 1, 3, 5. I mean, you'll notice that in each one of them, it's really only 1s, 3s, and 5s, and then there's going to be an additional note. Like in this situation here, this F major 7, there's a 7 there. So you have 1, 3, 5, and 7, and they're all based on. This is an F chord, so they're based on an F major scale. If you played an F major scale, and then you played the first, third, fifth, and seventh note, you've got an F major 7 chord. Same thing with this. This is F6, so you're going to play 1, 3, 5, and then add the sixth. Now, the way that I've got this set up, if you look at these numbers, like for example, let's take a look at this G. Okay, the voicing of this chord, you always start from the top string, and so if somebody says, how are you voicing that? What voicing are you playing? Well, then you could say 1, 5, 1, 3. Okay? How about this A minor? What is the voicing of that chord? Well, this is 1, 5, 1, flat 3. Because remember, we take a major chord. This is A major, and that's the third. And the difference between a major and a minor chord is the third for a minor chord, it has to move down a half step. Okay, so this major 7 chord, the voicing would be 5, 1, 3, 7. The voicing of this chord is 5, 1, 3, 6. Okay, all right, so I'm not going to beat that into the ground anymore, but what I want to do is I want to talk about rhythm a little bit. So what I'm doing is I'm just strumming, I'm trying to, just play light. I'm just strumming very lightly with the back of my, and when I'm coming up, I'm hitting the strings too. Actually, you don't have to do an upstroke. You could, if you get this thing going, where it's just a steady, like eighth notes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So when you're coming back up, that's the and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And so, you mute the strings over here to get this kind of choppy sound. Like that. See, I'm muting with my left hand. So you can get rhythmic between your right hand and your left hand by hammering on. And see, I'm letting them ring. I'm going to do it real slow. Actually, what I'm doing is I'm kind of hitting the lower strings to get a little, to switch it up a little bit and get some more dynamics, in the harmony of the instrument. So, and then when I'm snapping, I'm hitting those high strings, and then I'm lighting up again over here to mute, so I get this kind of rhythmic sound. And like on this part, on the F major 7 to F6, I'm just a little more. It's like a kind of a switch. I'm playing all eighth notes. I'm okay. So that's a little bit about rhythm. Eventually I'm going to do a video just on rhythm, and so you can get an idea of, you can just try some different rhythms with all these tunes you're working on. So anyhow, I hope you got something out of this. Thanks for watching. Remember, there's a chord chart and a chord diagram link in the description, and if you want to support the work I'm doing, there's also a link there too. Also, I'm trying to remember to put the link to my Spotify channel as well. So anyhow, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.